Hello. Today is Thursday, and we are going to work on questions 13, 14, and 15. So it says, which of the following situations represent a linear relationship? Now, this might be a little challenging at first, but let's just go ahead and go down the line. So it says a radioactive substance loses half its mass every 10 years. So we know that there's actually really no common difference between the radioactive substance loss and the mass every 10 years. So this actually represents what is called an exponential relationship. So therefore, this one does not work. Now it says someone is losing 4 pounds a month on her diet. So we know that there is a constant rate of change, which ends up giving us a linear relationship because she's losing 4 pounds a month. So it's giving us she's losing 4 pounds a month. So we know that this actually represents our linear relationship. Now, if we go ahead and look down for 14, it says when you solve 2x minus 7y equals 14 for y, which equation is the result? So we need to get y by itself. So we want to move everything on this left side over to the right. If we have a positive 2x, now we're going to subtract 2x because we need to do the opposite. So now we're left with negative 7y equals negative 2x plus 14 because these can't combine because the 14 does not have an x value. Lastly, we need to get y strictly by itself. So we need to divide by negative 7. So that means we divide everything by negative 7. So we're left with negative 2 divided by negative 7 does not simplify, but therefore a negative divided by a negative gives us a positive. So we're left with 2/7 x. Now we have 14 over negative 7. That does simplify to negative 2. So now looking at our answers, it looks like D is our correct answer. And lastly, for number 15, it says the equation of the line is 4x plus 3y equals 3, and the equation of the line Q is 3x minus 4y equals 0. Which statements about two lines is true? Well, first I noticed that this is not set equal to y. So first I would try to get this set equal to y. So if we look at line L, we have 4x plus 3y equals 3. So we need to get y by itself. So lastly, just like we did up here on this problem, we're going to get y by itself by moving over the 4x. So we're left with negative 4x plus 3. Now to get y strictly by itself, we need to divide by 3. So negative 4 over 3 can't simplify, so we're left with negative 4/3 x, and 3 over 3 simplifies to 1. So that's line L. Now we have line Q of 3x minus 4y equals 0. Just like before, we need to get y by itself. So we're left with negative 4y equals negative 3x. We need to divide by negative 4 to get y by itself. So a negative divided by a negative gives us a positive. So we're left with y equals 3/4 x. Now, if we look over here, lines L and Q have the same y-intercept. So this is our y-intercept. This is also our y-intercept. Since we don't have anything, we could technically write plus 0, but this would technically be our y-intercept. Is 1 and 0 the exact same? No. Now we have lines L and Q are parallel. If they are parallel, that means they have the same slope, which is this value right here. Is negative 4/3 and 3/4 the same? No, it is not. So that is not an option. Now it says lines L and Q have the same x-intercept. So that means we would technically have to plug in 0 into our y values because we need to figure out what x equals. So if we plug in 0 for y, we need to subtract 1, so we get negative 1 equals negative 4/3 x. Now, in order to get x by itself, we need to multiply by its reciprocal, so it would be negative 3/4. So x ends up equaling positive 3/4 because negative times a negative. And now lastly, we have to do it over here, so 0 equals 3/4. x. We could write plus 0, so it's just 0 equals 3/4 x. Now multiply by its reciprocal. And anything times 0 is 0. So no, these do not look the same. And now lastly, we have lines L and Q are perpendicular. In order for the lines to be perpendicular, they need to have opposite reciprocals of each other. So if we look at -4/3, our reciprocal would be -3/4, but it needs to be opposite of whatever sign this is. So if this is a negative, it needs to actually end up being a positive. So it needs to be a positive 3/4. Can we agree that these two lines are perpendicular? Yes. So therefore, D is our correct answer.